Have you ever, found yourself just stuck in that loop inside your head?
Oh, definitely.
That constant, stream of thoughts, maybe regrets about yesterday or worrying about what's coming tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like this mental treadmill, isn't it? Always spinning.
Exactly. And you just wish sometimes there was, I don't know, a shortcut just to get some real inner peace.
Absolutely. That feeling being swamped by thoughts, pulled between past and future, it's so common. Feels like the default for many of us.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into some pretty radical ideas, spiritual teaching suggesting that real liberation, a totally different way of living, isn't some far-off thing
Right. It's apparently available now.
right now.
Yeah, the source material for this dive is foundational text, really. It challenges how we even think about consciousness, about being present.
hmm
It looks into how we can actually genuinely free ourselves from that nonstop mind chatter, and the burden of, well, the author calls it psychological time.
Psychological time, like
Yeah.
living anywhere but here.
Exactly. Always stuck in past regrets or future worries.
Okay. So our mission today is to pull out the most powerful insights, the practical steps from this work, hopefully giving you a way to maybe experience a new kind of awareness day to day.
Not just in some fleeting moment, but like woven into your life.
Yeah. So let's start digging in.
Okay. A really compelling place to start in the source is this idea, you are not your mind.
You are not your mind. Okay.
And it uses this really striking parable, the beggar sitting on a box for 30 years.
Oh, right. The one with the gold inside he never knew about.
Exactly.
Huh.
30 years begging for scraps, sitting on treasure.
Wow. That hits hard. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many of us are doing that? Like metaphorically.
Right. So if that gold is our true inner wealth, this radiant joy of being, this unshakable peace, what does it mean that we're always looking outside?
It means we're beggars. Even
Yeah.
if we have stuff, we're looking for little bits of pleasure or validation or security out there.
Yeah. Completely missing the infinite treasure already inside. The text is clear. If you haven't found that inner wealth, you're a beggar no matter what you own.
So the big block, the reason we don't see the gold, according to this source,
Yeah.
it's identifying with our minds.
That's the core of it, this compulsive thinking, the nonstop inner commentary. It's called a dreadful affliction.
Affliction. But it feels so normal.
Exactly. It's considered normal, but the text argues it's the root of so much dysfunction.
And it challenges Descartes, right?
Yeah.
I think, therefore I am.
It does. It calls that a basic error because it equates thinking with being. But the source says thinking is just a tiny aspect of our real consciousness. The real I isn't the thought. It's the awareness behind the thought.
That's a huge distinction. And
Yeah.
this part blew my mind, this statistic about our thinking.
Oh, yeah. That 80 to 90%.
80 to 90% of our thoughts are repetitive, useless, and often harmful.
That's what it claims. A serious leakage of vital energy.
A leakage. Think about that. That's energy we could be using for, well, anything else. Listening, creating, just being here.
Precisely. It's not just about thinking less. It's reclaiming that mental space.
Okay, so this compulsive thinking, identifying with the mind, creates a false self, the ego.
Yes, the false mind-made self, the ego. And this ego, it actually thrives on problems. It feeds on fear, on constantly dwelling on the past or worrying about the future.
So the present moment, the now, that's threatening to it.
Very threatening.
Yep.
Because the ego needs time past and future to exist. It can't really operate in the timeless now. It needs problems to define itself.
Okay, so the mind and the ego were driving this.
Mhm.
What's the actual root of suffering then, according to this view?
The source points to a kind of primordial pain. It underlies most negative emotions.
Not just sadness, but like an unease.
Yeah, exactly. That feeling of something's missing or not enough, or this background hum of fear, incompleteness. And our mind's constant activity, it's often trying to fight or cover up that pain. But it can't, because the mind itself is part of the problem.
Right, it can't solve what it's creating. So is there a difference between, say, happiness and this deeper joy or peace it talks about?
A huge difference. The text distinguishes them clearly. Pleasure, often mistaken for happiness, comes from outside.
Like getting something you want.
Right. And it always contains the seed of its opposite pain, because the thing giving you pleasure can be taken away.
Okay.
But true joy, it's uncaused, it arises from within, it doesn't depend on conditions, and it has no opposite, it's just being.
That explains so much about why things like fear, guilt, resentment just seem to stick around. We're living too much in psychological time.
Exactly. Too much past and future, not enough presence. And this leads to another key concept, the pain body.
The pain body. Okay, what is that?
It's described as this accumulation of old emotional pain, both personal and collective.
Like an energy field of old hurt.
Sort of, yeah. An energetic entity within us. And if we're not conscious of it, it just keeps feeding itself, mostly through our identification with it. It triggers reactions, negative thoughts.
The text calls it a dangerous monster, but also an insubstantial phantom.
Right. It feels powerful like a monster, but only when it operates in the dark, unconsciously. When you shine the light of awareness on it, it starts to dissolve.
Okay, so that's the key.
Yeah.
Bringing awareness to it. How do we actually do that? How do we access this power of now and start untangling things?
Well, the path itself is presented as surprisingly simple. It echoes the Buddha. Enlightenment is the end of suffering.
The end of suffering. Not some mythical superhuman state.
No, more like our natural state. Returning to the peace that's already there, underneath the noise, not achieving something new.
That makes it feel, well, possible, accessible.
Exactly.
So how do we end this suffering? The main method seems to be watching the thinker, creating gaps of no mind.
Yes. It means observing your thoughts without getting lost in them, without judging them or believing you are them.
Being the awareness behind the thought.
Precisely. And when you do that, gaps naturally appear in the constant stream of thinking, moments of stillness, peace.
Those are the gaps of no mind.
Right. The source mentions Zen masters who, surprise hit students to check their presence.
Yeah. Testing their alertness.
Exactly. That state of intense alertness is no mind. It's not about forcing thoughts out. It's about being so present the mind naturally quiets down.
So it's about being the observer. And you can practice this anywhere, like just walking or washing your hands.
Absolutely. Bringing intense consciousness to routine activities, feeling the water, feeling your feet on the ground, it anchors you.
Turns everyday stuff into a meditation.
That's a key method. It
Yeah.
pulls consciousness away from the mental chatter, creates those gaps.
Okay, and what about the pain body then, this phantom?
Yeah.
If awareness dissolves it, how does that work practically?
The process is, it's about direct attention. You focus your attention on the feeling of the pain body.
Where you feel it in your body, like a tightness or an ache.
Exactly. That knot in your stomach, that heaviness. You feel it directly. You accept it's there. But crucially, you don't think about it.
No stories, no judgments, no why me.
None of that. You don't make an identity out of it. You just watch the sensation. Be the awareness observing the energy.
And by doing that, by being the watcher,
Yeah.
it can't control you anymore. It can't feed itself.
It loses its grip. It can't replenish itself through your unconscious identification or negative thinking.
That sounds incredibly powerful, like alchemy.
That's exactly the connection made, the esoteric meaning of alchemy, transmuting suffering, the base metal, into consciousness, the gold. Your presence is the transformative fire.
Wow. Okay, this seems to lead to a really fundamental choice. The source says, create no more pain for yourself.
It is a radical choice, and maybe one you make when you're just truly fed up with suffering.
But how? What allows us to make that choice moment by moment?
The key practice here is surrender, but not surrender as weakness.
Not giving up.
No, the opposite. It's defined as inner acceptance of what is without any reservations. It's a source of immense strength, spiritual power, because you stop resisting reality.
So accepting the present moment completely, even if it's uncomfortable or painful.
That's it. The source says full attention is full acceptance is surrender.
Full attention is full acceptance.
So when deep pain arises, the path is face it, feel it fully. But don't let the mind build a story around it, a victim identity.
Yeah.
And here's that profound paradox again. The moment you completely accept your non-peace becomes transmuted into peace.
Accept the non-peace. And it becomes peace. That's counterintuitive, but feels deeply true.
It is. By stop fighting what is, you find peace.
Okay, let's go deeper. The source talks about inhabiting the body to deepen presence. What does that actually mean? Feeling your body.
It's more than just noticing aches or pains. It's about feeling the life within the body. The invisible inner body, the animating presence, the subtle energy field.
Like feeling the aliveness inside your hands, your feet, everywhere.
Exactly. Tuning into that inner energy field. And doing that anchors you firmly in the now.
So it stops you from getting lost out there or up here in your head?
Precisely. You maintain an awareness of your inner space. And the source suggests this can make even mundane things or waiting in traffic potentially enjoyable.
Really? Traffic?
Because your sense of well-being isn't dependent on the external situation anymore. You're anchored within.
You can practice this while doing other things, like listening now.
Definitely. Keep some attention within. Feel your inner body, even as you listen or read. Don't let all your attention flow outwards.
That allows for a creative use of mind, too,
Hmm.
switching between thinking and stillness.
Yes, oscillating. Thinking when needed, but always rooted in that inner stillness, that body awareness. It also transforms listening.
How so?
You listen with your whole body's energy field, not just your ears and mind. It creates this space, the stillness for real connection, beyond just processing words.
Imagine conversations like that, truly present. Okay, this connects to moving beyond the mind's labels, right? Especially with everyday stuff like complaining.
Absolutely. Complaining is fundamentally non-acceptance, resistance to what is.
So if a situation is genuinely bad, intolerable.
3 choices, according to the text.
Yeah.
Remove yourself, change it, or accept it totally.
Okay.
But the crucial first step, no matter which you choose, is to drop the inner resistance, the negativity, then act if action is needed. Otherwise, you're just reacting from negativity.
And this brings us back to peace versus happiness. Happiness needs conditions to be right.
Whereas inner peace doesn't. The source says conditions are just as they are, neither good nor bad in themselves. It's our judgment that adds that layer.
We impose the labels.
Right. And the practice is forgiveness of the present, allowing the moment to be exactly as it is.
Like that Zen story about the butcher.
Banzan, yes. Hearing the butcher say, every piece of meat I have is the best.
It wasn't about the meat.
No. It was the butcher's total acceptance of what is in that moment. That's what triggered Banzan's enlightenment. Profound acceptance.
Wow. Every piece of meat is the best. Every moment. Okay. That's radical. Finally, let's touch on the unmanifested and its portals. What's the unmanifested?
It's described as the source, pure consciousness, formless, the infinitely creative womb of all existence, where everything arises from and returns to.
The ultimate reality behind appearances.
You could say that. It's also the source of K, that inner life force or energy field we feel when we're present. That energy acts like a bridge.
Okay, and the portals are ways to access this, to connect with it,
Exactly. Practical doorways back to our source, our true nature.
like meditation.
Yes. Going deeply into the inner body is one. Also, the cessation of thinking, even for the space of one conscious breath.
One breath.
Or just intently looking at a flower, a crystal, anything without any mental label or comment, pure perception, and of course surrender, acceptance of what is.
Those are the portals. What about love? Many traditions focus on love. Is that a portal?
The text offers a subtle but important distinction here. It says love isn't the portal itself. Love is what comes through the portal into this world. It's the experience, the feeling realization of oneness that arises when a connection to the unmanifested is open.
So you don't find love, you open a portal for love to emerge.
That's the idea. Find presence, find stillness, find acceptance, and love naturally arises from that connection to the source.
So this transformation is individual, but it affects the collective.
Yeah.
The new heaven and new earth idea.
Yes. The world we experience is seen as a direct reflection of your state of consciousness.
So as more individuals shift,
The collective consciousness shifts, and the outer world begins to reflect that inner change, leading to potentially a very different reality. The lion lying down with the lamb metaphorically, inner conflict ceasing, leading to outer peace.
okay, so bringing this all together, what's the core takeaway for someone listening right now?
I think it's recognizing really deeply that you are not your mind, that so much of our pain is self-created through resisting this moment, and that the power to change that, the power of presence, is right here, right now.
It comes down to accepting the mind. Now, watching the mind without getting caught and feeling that aliveness in your body.
That's the essence of the practice.
All right, so here's a thought to leave you with, something to maybe chew on. How much you identified with your problems? How much of your sense of self is actually tied up in your suffering, your story?
Yeah, what would actually happen if you really chose to die to the past every moment, to let go of the old stories, the future worries?
And just decided right now to create no more problems for yourself. What might open up?
What new reality could emerge for you and maybe ripple outwards if you drop the narrative and just fully embrace this present moment exactly as it is?
Maybe try it. Pick one small thing today. Practice radical acceptance. Or when a small challenge comes up, try staying centered in the now instead of reacting the old way.
You might just discover that treasure you've been sitting on all